I can do what I want when I want to do it. I can do what I need when I need to get through it. When I need someone else, can't be too proud for help, but gotta look after myself. Sometimes it can get lonely, never living in the moment. When the sun is shining, hope that I'm reminded, like how the clouds keep changing. I'm always steady rearranging, going back to the basics of what a good day is. What a good day is. And that's exactly what the day is. But it's exactly what you make it. So please don't go wasting. And I'll do the same, even if it's raining. How could I complain? And my feels got me feeling some type of way. You always free to take a break. Hope you feel what I felt. You gotta look after yourself. Sometimes it can get lonely, never living in the moment. When the sun is shining, hope that I'm reminded, like how the clouds keep changing. I'm always steady rearranging, going back to the basics.
Back to the basics, y'all. Good morning. It is that time. Happy Friday, everybody. We are in here. We made it to another Friday. Thank God. We made it to another Friday. It's a beautiful day. Hopefully y'all are doing well. You know what to do. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me and see me. Shout out to Valencia in the building, doing it right already. My goodness, appreciate y'all. Okay. It looks like we got some ones in the chat. Let's see how we looking in here though. We should be looking good. Oh man, all crispy and clean on the screen. Welcome y'all. Welcome back to another YouTube live stream and another episode of the Music Morning Show. I'm your host, ClassE Beats at ClassEbeats.com. And man, we have a lot to get through today. I apologize for the delay. I was trying to put everything together because there is so much that has happened, not only this week, but also in the last 24 hours. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. Shout out to everybody who's in the building. Y'all know I got to say what's up to the people though. And thank you to Keely for kicking off the show the right way. Let me see who we've got in here. I already said what's up to Valencia. We have my awesome, amazing Amy is in the building. Always in here showing up, showing love, and putting in work every single day. Amy does so much here. Y'all have no idea. So thank you, Amy, for everything you do. Michi's in here. We've got Shelby. Les Cleaver. Look at Les dropping the super chat already. He says, thank God it's Friday. God bless you and all the ClassE Beats family. I pray you have a great day and weekend. Thank you, Les. I appreciate you, man. Drama Llama, Stuck Farmer. We've got A-Fits in here. Deanna's in the building. Lavisa, Joyce, Susan. Good to see you in here. Who else? We've got Grandina is in the building too. Leslie Abrahams, good morning. Good to see you. The Honorable Attorney Kel Bell is in the building. We got to give it up for Kel Bell. Linda Lane, good to see you. Tam Tam is up in here. My guy John, salute, sir, and thank you for your service. I appreciate you. Mr. Brown is back at it. Azor, good to see you. Gwen, Mama D, Krista, Tommy is up in here as well. Man, shout out to y'all. We got everybody in here. My guy JB Brown is in the building too. I'll be saying good morning to a few more of you as we go throughout the show. But if you could do me one favor and like the video on your way in, not only is it free, not only does it help the channel continue to grow, but it lets the YouTube algorithm know that y'all are enjoying the show and it shares the video with more people. And it takes 2 seconds and it's free. Come on, like the video, y'all. So I'm not going to waste any time. We're going to go ahead and get right into it. I have a ton of topics we have to cover today. We've got Young Thug's first appearance since he's been released from jail. This is crazy, and I can't believe no one is covering this a lot more. But shout out to the Fit Lawyer ATL. We're going to talk about her interview she did with the Honorable Attorney Keith Adams here shortly, our guy.
And so what we have ultimately is that there is no evidence, none.
Yep, and then we've got, thank y'all for sharing the video as well. We've got a couple things we're going to cover. Shannon Stillwell, the state, obviously it looks like they are folding and giving up this entire RICO thing. It's insane what's going on. But we're going to start out the show with a little bit of a controversial topic. And I really want to hear y'all's thoughts on this one. Shout out to Star for posting this over on his YouTube channel. Recently, Donovan Thomas Jr.'s mother came out and gave some statements about everything that went down and what happened with the YSL trial, the verdict, how she feels about the state, how she feels about the jurors, and even the bloggers, I guess is what we're called now. I don't know. As long as we're not vloggers, I guess. Shout out to Miss Hilton. Anyway, I want y'all to check this out and see what she has to say. And let me know what you think. Is she right? Is she wrong? Is she totally fine with feeling the way she feels, regardless of what we think? Check it out.
I just had to come up here and do this for my baby. And come see him. Let him know it's okay. We're going to be all right as a family. Because they might not been found guilty in the eyes of the law. And those fake ass jurors they had up there. But guess what? We got this. Because we know the truth. We know what happened. And I just had to come see my baby, let him know that we got this.
It's sad.
Been just as I was in the end. And it's always gonna be lonely enough forever. I'm just mad as hell. And I ain't gonna say I'm mad at the state because them people did what they can do. And just those bouncers got there and lied and played, and I was paid off. Even to the jurors, the deputies, they were all full of bullshit down there.
Wow.
And they only saw what they want to see. And people who, the bloggers and all that, they didn't see the inside of what was really going on in that courtroom. I know in my heart of heart and stuff, I was paying attention to. It was a lot of injustice going on, just with people, period, in that courtroom. From the deputies, I know for a fact. And just stuff that was going on in general. But at the end of the day, we got this. And it's always, like I said, gonna be long lived, not forever. I'm gonna be okay. We as a family gonna be okay. And we're gonna get through this. But
Sad.
right now, I'm just mad. I'm upset.
That's so sad.
It's tough.
But I still got my faith, my grace and mercy, and the higher power that we do serve. And I just had to come to let my baby know that Mama was there. Your daddy was there. We was there. Ned was there. Your stepmom was there. We fought. We fought a good fight. And we're going to continue to fight. And we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. But Mama just had to come see you. And
I
just
can't
talk to you
imagine.
and let you know. I'm like, I have never got on here just to broadcast my business. I spoke my piece. Well spoke. But right now, I think it's time for me to do this. I sat there and I didn't want to go down to hear a verdict. And I kind of wasn't in there. But I already knew it was going to be some bullshit with this. I just kind of felt it in my spirit this morning. So I kind of procrastinated. And we got there, of course, it was the unthinkable was her, not guilty. But though they know they're guilty. They knew in
Mhm.
2010, January 15th, that they were all guilty. And the parents, they could sit down there and clap. I'm without words, y'all. I'm without words.
That's just
I truly am without words. But I just thank God for the love and support that people have been there with my baby through this process. And to all the people who just, it was so many. This case was tried basically on social media bullshit.
Yeah.
All those bloggers that think they know the system and what happened. We as a family, we the people know what happened. We really know what happened.
I'm gonna let her talk.
Can you hear me?
Like I said, at the end of the day,
Yes.
we as a family, we're gonna be okay. We're gonna get through this, and it's still gonna be long live, not forever. Mm-mm-mm.
It's sad, man.
Yeah, my baby is, y'all.
Yeah, she's got some smoke for the
him
bloggers.
and let him know it's gonna be okay. Somebody already been up here to visit him, y'all, with a Patron bar. They know his drink of choice.
That's.
But like I said, it's gonna be okay.
I'm not offended.
Cause victory is ours in the end. And I'm gonna keep smiling, I'm gonna keep crying, I'm gonna keep laughing. And I just want y'all to keep screaming his name. Long live not forever. Let them know they haven't done anything.
Mm. And I think that's pretty much the end of the video. Now, I want to go through a little bit and break down what she said. And I think a lot of you in the comments and in the chat are kind of going to say something similar to where you never know how you feel in this situation, what somebody's going through as a parent. And as a parent, I will tell you, it is tough seeing your kids make certain choices that maybe you don't necessarily agree with. You could coach them and teach them the right way. At the end of the day, it's up to them, right? It still doesn't change. It doesn't change your love for them as a parent. So I definitely feel her on this. I don't think she should grieve any less because Donovan Thomas was one of the biggest gang leaders here in Atlanta. That's still her son at the end of the day. And before he even chose to go this route in this lifestyle, I'm sure she saw him as an innocent child at some point. And a lot of parents, that's how they see them. On the other side, I think it's probably hard to think clearly in the situation, especially when the state has made you so many promises and had so much certainty that what they were saying was fact and what they believed, as we saw, was fact, whether that be from how Yak Gotti was involved in Donovan Thomas's murder, that he went around the corner of the gas station where there was no cameras and switched cars, and then he just randomly showed up where Donovan Thomas was and shot him. Or whether it be even in Shamel Drinks, and we haven't heard from his family yet, saying that something that is physically impossible to happen, with that being Shamel Drinks being in his car, hitting the brakes, releasing the brakes, and then hitting them again after several seconds after Shannon pulled off from the stop sign. I hope, and I will just say this and probably leave it at that, I hope that she holds the state accountable for this, because let's be real. If we're looking at the evidence, and yeah, maybe we're just bloggers and maybe we don't actually see what's going on inside the courtroom, which I guess we kind of did, but in this case, we saw enough to know that the state, they fumbled this. They let so many people get away, get off. Detective Hogan, super investigator, social media stalker, detective investigator Viverito, saw the FedEx video. There was several cars in that video that could have been in question. One specifically that pulled up. We call it the third car. Some people call it the fourth car. Didn't look into that. They didn't even have the right vehicle. They didn't even have Yak Gotti in the right vehicle when it came to Donovan Thomas's murder. So we're going to do our job and continue to put the pressure on not only Fulton County, not only Fannie Willis, but just the entire sheriff's office and the way these investigations are run to just do the right thing and follow the process. I know there's a lot that goes into it, but we don't want to continue to see this happen. And I wouldn't say my anger wouldn't be directed at the jurors either. At this point, you just want somebody to pay for what happened to your baby, right? A lot of empty promises. They propped this lady up in the courtroom to try and get the jurors to go a certain way. And thank God the jurors saw everything and believed everything that we saw, because we know from what we've seen and the evidence that was presented, Yak wasn't the right guy. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I want to know what y'all think and what your thoughts are in the comments and in the live stream too. Let me know. I also wanted to run this back because there's a couple things she said in here I thought that were interesting. Good morning, y'all. And I'll be reading some of your comments here shortly.
Come up here and do this for my baby. And come see him. Let him know. It's
yeah,
okay.
You don't want the wrong person to pay.
Family.
I agree.
Because they might not been found guilty in the eyes of the law. And those fake ass jurors they had up there.
Yeah, this part, the fake ass jurors, come on now. I don't know what that means. Again, I'm not critiquing her. I just think it's interesting because where is she getting this information from? We heard Dennis Byron interview the alternate juror that honestly sounded somewhat similar to the sentiment that Mama Thomas has here. And saying that, oh, well, they got it wrong. I can't believe they let these guys go. I hate hood music. And when she comes to her opinions about the jury, I don't know where she's getting this from, because we didn't hear anything from the jury. And two, they made the decisions based off of the evidence that was presented. Wouldn't you be mad at the state for how they presented that evidence?
But guess what?
She didn't like the defense attorneys either.
Because we know the truth.
Good morning, y'all.
We know what happened. And I just had to come see my baby, let him know that we got this.
It's so sad.
Being just as I was in the end. And it's always going to be lonely enough forever. I'm just mad as hell.
Yeah,
and
I don't blame her.
I'm mad at the state because them people did what they can do. And just those bouncers got up there and lied and played, and I was paid off. Even to the jurors, the deputies, they were all full of bullshit down there.
Dang, she was mad at the deputies too. Again, she said we don't know a lot of what went on in the courtroom. I agree. All we saw was what the camera showed us, right? So I'd be interested to find out from her what actually happened in the courtroom in this trial. And I mean, if I don't know if you're watching this, Mama Thomas, but if you ever want to come up to the channel and give your side and your thoughts about what happened in this entire trial, I think the people would love to hear that. And there'd be a lot of people here who would want to support you, not only in finding out what happened to your son, but hearing what you had to go throughout this trial too. So shout out to her for sharing this, because it's tough. I usually give people a hard time about crying on camera. Like, why are you crying on camera? But in this case, I mean, everything was so publicized, and she was drug into this pretty heavily by the state. I'm not gonna lie. So, or I would, yeah, if once some time has passed and she's gotten over this, she wants to come up and talk to the people, I'd be happy to have her here. What are y'all saying in the chat? And shout out to Amy for reminding y'all to like the video. Thank you so much. Jade says, your son was a big gang leader, ma'am. The Most High killed your son. Oh, gosh. We reap what we sow, ma'am. Blessing to you for your pain only. No human killed your son. The Most High did. That's tough. Dang. Yes, almost 10 years later, they still don't have it right. I would be So pissed at the state. That's putting it lightly. My guy Sean P in here. What's up, man? He says, my cousin was a demon. He did things to people intentionally, unintentionally, and we don't play innocent about his demise. I mean, it's accountability for sure. But I think if this were someone other than his mother, I'd probably have a lot more smoke for him. But the fact that it's his mom, I can't imagine going through this as a parent. You know, she probably has a lot of guilt. She probably is wondering what else she could have done. Yeah, but if it were somebody else, man, rest in peace, long live that. This was tough. One of the dudes he was hanging with, like, y'all got to be held accountable at some point. G.A. Bunny says her sharing her feelings and crying, she has a reason to cry. Hopefully justice will be done someday. I doubt it. I doubt it. And we're going to talk about it here in a second, what the state is doing right now. I mean, they're bailing out of this entire RICO trial. And this poor woman is going to be left with nothing. Just wondering what happened. Just wondering who was actually responsible for her son's death. And I don't know, maybe she's just going to pray that the streets handle it. But from what we saw in the evidence that was presented, it wasn't any of these guys in this YSL trial. That's for sure. Pray Press and Proceed Custom says they just got to admit that they don't know who did it. That would be nice. They didn't have the evidence to say who did. That would be nice, but they're not going to take accountability. They don't have to. They are the law. Oh, God. Think about that for a second. They're the law. They don't have to. They don't have to admit that they're wrong. Yeah. G.A. Bunny, parents love their children unconditionally. Please remember that. Yeah, absolutely. As a parent, I cannot imagine. Slim is in here, says, now they see why the previous DA didn't pursue this case. Because in Keith Adams' words.
So what we have ultimately is that there is no evidence. None.
Yep. Absolutely not. She is just as bad as his buddies. She knew what her son was. There are consequences to every action, whether good or bad. Oh, and I agree. But losing a son, losing a child is just a lot. No matter how involved or uninvolved you were in the process, it's hard, man. It's hard. I mean, especially as a mother. I mean, that's a piece of you that's just gone, you know? It's tough. I'm sorry for your loss, but there was a jury that was found not guilty. Blame Adrian Love and the other prosecution for lying and trying to charge and convict people who were not guilty. Jonathan Scott, absolutely. Someone has to answer for this. And yeah, a jury of our peers found that they're not guilty. And I hope she watches this live stream because, as I said, we're going to get into it here in a second. The state, as we all knew and thought, does not care anything about these victims. All they cared about were getting certain charges and not actually figuring out who was responsible for what happened in these murder cases. Because we saw even in the past couple of weeks, murder charge getting dropped. And now you've got Yak Gotti not guilty on all charges. Come on, man. The state fumbled this in a major way. And we're going to go ahead and get into this next topic. Y'all make sure you like the video on your way in. Check this out. Thugger Daily. Y'all know Thugger Daily has been key, instrumental in giving information and news when it comes to this YSL trial. Thugger Daily just recently came out yesterday and said the state just dropped the RICO charge for one of the defendants waiting for trial. More to come? Well, we're going to see. There are more to come on this for sure. Damone Blaylock, aka Bali, will no longer be charged with RICO. He's the defendant whose appeal is currently being decided by the Supreme Court and was argued by Brian Steele. And Brian Steele did an excellent job. If y'all didn't see that, make sure you go look it up and watch it. Check this out. Here we go. This is the motion. The state of Georgia, by and through Fannie T. Willis, District Attorney of Atlanta. Judicial Circuit, and the undersigned Chief Deputy District Attorney Adam Abadi hereby moves this honorable court for an order of null pro, and I always mess up the second word, so we're going to say null pro as to the defendant Damone Blaylock on count 1 of the above styled indictment. In support of this motion, the state shows the following, and that's RICO. In case y'all didn't know, on August 22nd, the defendant was charged with count 1, which is conspiracy to violate RICO. On September 30th, 2021, in the Superior Court of Fulton County, the defendant was tried and convicted by a jury of his peers for the charges contained in the indictment number, and they have it there, for murder and other related charges. Okay, so he was tried and convicted for that. The defendant was sentenced to life imprisonment plus a consecutive 25 years in confinement. Oh my goodness. 1783 provides that after an examination of the case in open court and before it has been submitted to a jury, the prosecuting attorney may enter a no pro with the consent of the court. Georgia courts have consistently recognized that it is the duty of the district attorney to determine whether it is in the public interest to recommend to the court that a case be no pro. All right, the entry of an order of no pro as to the defendant, Mr. Blaylock, on count 1 of the instant indictment has no effect on the state's ability to present evidence of the offenses alleged in this indictment. Okay, and then you can see 16 to 21. So basically, they're going to let this man slide. And who signed this? Fannie Willis and Adam Abadi. Now, there's a lot in question behind this because, as we know, Adam Abadi, he took over for Miss Love. Miss Love clearly botched so much of this trial. And once Glanville got up out of there, she lost steam. And y'all can watch so many videos on my channel of her getting absolutely annihilated by Judge Whitaker, to the point to where Judge Whitaker not only said that she was trying to clean up the state's mess, but she also said she just wanted some prosecutors that knew how to try a case. So Judge Whitaker was not happy with how this case was being run. Adam Abadi came in and tried to save the day and clean this up along with Judge Whitaker, as she even mentioned during the sentencings for Shannon Stillwell when the jury was reading the verdict. So anyway, Miss Love out of there. Adam Abadi still trying to clean up a lot of this. Now, there is some strategy behind this that we're going to talk about here in a second that could be possibly a move by Fannie Willis to take her wins, her few wins that she did get. For instance, with Roscoe pleading guilty to RICO and taking this and just moving forward and getting rid of the whole thing. All right, but check this out. Our guy, Dennis Byron over here, he said it's an interesting PR move by the Fulton County DA's office, dropping the charges for 6 defendants. Yeah, we're going to get into that here in a second. On the YSL indictment, most of these individuals have been already convicted of these crimes in unrelated cases. Reducing overcrowding and judicial economy should not stop at the defendants. All right, so what actually happened here? And what is the state doing? Shout out to Joseph Papp over on X as well. He says new Fulton County prosecutors have filed motions seeking to dismiss charges against 6 YSL trial defendants. Oh my gosh. And we're going to look at, this is crazy. We're going to look at exactly what they were charged with and what charges they had on this indictment. But let me read their names. We just mentioned one of them. We've got Mr. Khalif Adams. We've got Mr. Blaylock. We got Mr. Bradford, Justin Cobb, as y'all know, Javon Fleetwood, and Jaden Myrick. Okay, so let's get into this article from Joseph Papp. He's over at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. And the fact that they're letting 6 of these guys off on these charges is absolutely insane. Well, let's see what they have to say. Prosecutors moved to drop charges against 6 more defendants in the YSL case, which leaves a couple more, I believe. I think there's only 2 more, but we'll see if Joseph mentions it in this article. Fulton County prosecutors said they're dropping charges against 6 of the remaining defendants in the gang and racketeering YSL case. In motions filed Wednesday night, prosecutors sought to dismiss charges against Khalif Adams, Damon Blaylock, Javarius Bradford, Justin Cobb, Javon Fleetwood, and Jaden Myrick. All 6 were indicted along with Atlanta rapper Young Thug in May of 2022 for violating the state's RICO Act and a number of gang and drug and gun charges. The 6 were split off from the original trial, which concluded on Tuesday for a variety of reasons. Adam was severed because his attorney was pregnant during the jury selection. Oh my! Bradford and Fleetwood didn't have attorneys by December 2022. Blaylock got sick during jury selection, and Cobb is not in custody. Myrick was severed after a mental health evaluation. Dang, that's tough. And admitting to the judge that he hadn't taken his medication in several months. Chief Deputy District Attorney Adam Abadi wrote that the dismissal of the charges is being sought in the interest of the public and judicial economy.
Stop the cap.
Yeah, so basically what this means is we don't like the way this looks. There's too many guys in jail already. Let's just get them out of here because people are looking too close at what's happening to this trial. Not only that, but if we have some of these YSL guys still locked up, then people are going to continue to talk about it and talk about it and talk about it. And the Department of Justice is already involved. Who knows? Maybe they're looking into the DA's office now too. The dismissal bids followed a verdict on Tuesday in which Deamonte Kendrick and Stanton Stillwell were both acquitted of murder, gang, and racketeering charges. Stillwell was convicted on a lone gun charge. Both remain in jail on unrelated pending charges, which they're working through that now. And I think Kayla is even assisting or wholly representing Shannon Stillwell in a lot of his issues that haven't been resolved yet. Among the charges on the chopping block Wednesday are murder charges against Bradford and Cobb relating to the 2015 death of Donovan Thomas. Mama Thomas, I hope you're watching this. This has nothing to do with the paid off jury that you mentioned or the any of the bailiffs that were in the courtroom. This is the Chief Deputy District Attorney Adam Abadi and your girl Fannie Willis saying, we'll just let him go. Mama Thomas, I hope you're watching this because this is who you need to be upset with. Among the charges on the chopping block Wednesday are murder charges against Bradford and Cobb relating to the 2015 death of Donovan Thomas. Demise McMullen would be the only defendant still facing a murder charge in Donovan Thomas's death after Tuesday's verdict. Do y'all think that they're going to find Demise McMullen guilty? Prosecutors are asking to cut RICO and attempted murder charges against Adams, noting he was convicted in 2019 on murder and other charges and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The attempted murder charge in relating to the stabbing of rapper and alleged rival gang member YFN Lucci and at the Fulton County Jail in February of 2022. Adams gained notoriety during jury selection for allegedly handing Young Thug a Percocet pill in open court. Yeah, we watched the video on that too, which is insane. And they took him straight to prison. Similar to Adams, prosecutors are seeking to dismiss charges against Myrick after he was sentenced in October 2022 to life without parole, followed by 3 consecutive life sentences on a murder and other charges. Jeez, these guys, man. Myrick also faced a RICO charge and a charge related to a jailhouse stabbing. Blaylock, who faces a single RICO charge, was convicted in September 2021 of murder in the 2019 death of 15-year-old Jamari Holmes. So sad, man. He, along with his former co-defendant, Rodelius Ryan, were sentenced to life in prison. Blaylock was also allegedly involved in a separate stabbing at the Fulton County Jail in 2023. He is appealing his murder conviction. So they let these guys go because they were already in jail. I guess they say, what's the point? Prosecution filed a motion seeking to dismiss Fleetwood's role in the RICO charge from the indictment, noting he was convicted in July of 2021, attempted murder, gang, and gun charges, and sentenced to 20 years to serve 8 in custody. A body also wrote that the dismissal of all these charges reduces the number of defendants in the custody of the Fulton County Sheriff and reduces the potential for safety and security concerns in the trial of this case. And we're worried about that now after Shannon got stabbed over a year ago. And anyway, whatever. It's not the first time prosecutors have dismissed charges against YSL defendants, citing previous convictions. Charges against Cordarius Dorsey were dismissed in September of 2023 after he was convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison. After the verdict against Kendrick and Stillwell was rendered Tuesday, Superior Court Judge Paige Reese Whitaker encouraged attorneys to continue plea negotiations until December 17th, which is a couple weeks away. On Wednesday, as we know, Jimmy Winfrey, aka Roscoe, took a plea deal to resolve his case. Well, shout out to Joseph Papp for this amazing article and giving us a great history of what happened. The state is folding, y'all, and they're just giving it up. So again, Mama Thomas, you need to get at the state because we still have no idea who is responsible for Donovan Thomas's murder. Now, as we know, Demise McMullen, we're still going to have to figure that situation out as right now, he's the only one who's going to be left to be held accountable for this murder. Again, what evidence have we seen?
And so what we have ultimately is that there is no evidence, none.
I'm not seeing it, but maybe the state will be able to present something that we can figure out. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. I want to see what y'all are saying too. We did have a couple of super chats coming here. Shout out to my awesome, amazing Amy. Oh my gosh. She gifted 5 memberships. If you got a membership from Amy, please make sure that you say thank you. Shout out to Amy for gifting the 5 memberships. Peach Just Me says Fanny is the leader of If Gang. Oh my God, that would be something. I wouldn't doubt it. This is proof the state only wanted Thug. I don't know what the state. I think this is all about Fannie Willis's agenda. Fannie Willis wanted to get certain notches in her belt. She wanted to build up and boost her resume. And here we are. I mean, several RICO charges. I mean, she's got under her belt. Even most recently, Roscoe, he pled guilty to a RICO charge. Several other charges. We had several other guys plead guilty. That's unfortunate. Fanny's going to find herself behind bars soon enough. Yeah, I wanted to talk about Fanny today, but I don't know that we're going to have enough time to get into it. But yeah, we'll probably talk about Fanny coming up next week, especially once more news comes out about her having to release documents of everything she was doing behind the scenes with her guy, Nathan Wade. It's getting ugly. It's getting ugly. He's staying in. He already got life. Yeah, they figured there's no reason to pile on. I get it. Fanny also was just ordered by a judge to hand over all docs from the Trump's case. Yeah, I'm sure there was some type of hack that got rid of all those documents, GA Bunny. So good luck finding them. Also, shout out to Black Butterfly in here, says Demise, Nut, Demekion, Nut, and Shamel. Ooh, okay. With the 2-bomb, Black Butterfly is saying she thinks Demise might be found guilty on that one. Demekion was also involved in Shamel Drinks and the Donovan Thomas murder. I don't know. A lot of people are saying that other guy who's out here, I'm not going to say his name, but y'all know who it is. They're saying it might have been that guy too. So there's a lot of speculation behind who is actually involved in these murders. I think Donovan Thomas is probably the most difficult one to figure out because we don't even know who was in that car. I mean, well, yeah, we'll see. GA Bunny said, that's what I said. As soon as she lost the case, no RICO, they dropped these guys because they don't have any money. Only Thug did. She no longer stands to gain financially. Yeah, Thug needs to get his stuff back too. We're actually going to get into that. Thug made his first public appearance recently on a live stream that was done by the Fit Lawyer ATL, and we're going to cover it here. I'm surprised nobody's covering this. I've only seen the Fit Lawyer ATL and Thugger Daily that mentioned it, but Young Thug actually spoke out about everything that went on with the trial, how he feels about the system here in Fulton County. So we're going to cover that here a little bit later. But also shout out to the black butterfly in there with the 2 bombs said, thought you meant who's on trial for the murder. Oh, okay. Amy says she's saying Woody. I didn't say, Amy said it, but I guess if Amy says it, I said it because I gotta protect Amy. So yeah, Woody. Yeah. I got you, Black Butterfly, and thank you for that. I know you're saying Demise is for Nut, and then Demekion is for Nut and Shamel Drinks. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how the state follows this up on December 17th, which is not too far away. Let me see. We've got a week in 2 days. Y'all are saying Woody did it. Oh my gosh. Y'all are saying that. I didn't say that. Who else we have in here? Happy Annie says, I think Fannie is feeling the pressure. Yeah, she just got reelected too. We got 4 more years of this. Fulton County, please, y'all. Have you not seen enough? I get she's a sister. I get she's a strong, independent woman. But good Lord, can we not have 4 more years of this type of misconduct? The way she handled herself in the Trump trial, embarrassing. The leadership that she's shown throughout this YSL trial, embarrassing. I mean, how can y'all continue to vote for this? Oh man, it's embarrassing in Fulton County. I'm really disappointed in y'all. Really disappointed. I had a little bit of hope, but I know most of you heard me talk about it here on the channel. Fannie wasn't going anywhere. People were not going to vote out Fannie Willis, and I think you'd be surprised at how many people are watching this and they just don't care. She's a Democrat, black, female. They're going to vote for her. Crazy. Amy said, let's overlook that Woody owned a white Charger and his brother-in-law as well. The state just says, let's give him immunity. Woody is never coming on this channel, man. Woody, don't, hey, listen, ignore the chat. You can come up here anytime. Shout out to Val, says, hey, just joined, love your channel. Thank you, Val. We're going to get to our next topic here. Oh man, thank you for being here. No, I call Woody a snitch, so he's never coming up here. He's got smoke for Max. He's probably got smoke for me too. All right, let's get in. Speaking of Max Sharp, we're going to go ahead and get into this next interview that was done. A lot of interviews dropped in the past 24 hours, and specifically, this is Max's first interview he's done since the post-trial interview. So y'all check this out, and shout out to Megan Kuniff over on her YouTube channel. I will drop the link to this full interview in the description, and it'll also be in the comments as well in case y'all want to go watch the whole thing. And I recommend that you do, because Megan did a great job interviewing Max Sharp and David Botts. But we're going to start here with Max talking about the trial and just his overall thoughts about what went on. Here we go.
Yeah. You mentioned Antonio Sledge. Somebody questioned, because it did seem like the prosecutors had really tried to figure something out in the last few months. I mean, their case was just way too big from the beginning, but we all saw the increased number of prosecutors, the presence of a body, the 19 witnesses in one day thing. But more significantly, we saw Antonio Sledge's probation revoked for not testifying in accordance to his plea deal. Man. And we also saw Simone take a pretty pointed stance on during Antonio Sumlin's testimony and really use his plea deal to get him to say that YSL, she definitely used it to get him to say that YSL members sold drugs out of the web. Did that kind of aggressive stance by prosecutors with Mongtung influence any kind of plea deal negotiations? I mean, did it scare people basically?
Good question.
I don't think so, because I think I could be wrong, but what did we have? 5 or 6 plea deals kind of come in succession. None of those, I think if it did anything, it made the attorneys take a hard line that we are not signing up to testify and we are not agreeing to factual acknowledgments, because
Yes.
none of those gentlemen signed any sort of acknowledgments to my knowledge and understanding. And so it's just, and I know Mr. Sledge's attorney. He's a great guy. He's a great attorney. And
no, Max, come on now.
Stop the cap.
Oh boy, I'm gonna let him finish, but Max is talking about Derek Wright. He said he knows him, so hey, I'm gonna let it go. Based on what y'all saw from Derek Wright's testimony and based on how he handled Monk Tunk's plea, do you all think that he's a great guy and a great attorney? Just leaving it up to y'all. Would you hire him? Let me know.
where this really
Shout out to Max though.
went wrong and how Mr. Sledge ended up in this situation is just everyone, state got up and said, these guys are all dangerous when it was time to go for a bond hearing, which was unbelievable to me because no one's read the discovery like me, except for maybe Brian. And I still don't understand what Ghana did. And so you're saying all these people are so dangerous they can't get bond.
Mm-hmm.
And then so you just have them in there, and the only way out, other than 2.5-year trial, is entering a plea, and then the state writes the factual acknowledgments and puts it in front of them, and then Mr. Sledge did sign it, but we use these terms. Oh, it was freely and voluntarily given. It wasn't coercion, but
Well, that's true.
You're sitting in jail without bond, and you're being told if you sign a document, you go home. Like, if that's not coercion, I don't know what is.
Is that coercion if it's the truth though? Again, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm gonna let Max talk. He's the professional. But if it's true, then it's not coercion. I don't know. Man. Lavisa said Derek Wright couldn't fight my speeding ticket for me. God dang. He ended up doing 20 years probation for a speeding ticket.
So that's just imagine being an attorney representing Mr. Sledge, where he wants to get home to his sick mother, he wants to get home to his kids, and you got these factual acknowledgments, and then you're trying to thread that needle to make it happen, but also chip away at these, and the state's being difficult, and then you just come to the conclusion, well, let's do this and you can explain it later, which is what was said. And I can see that happen. But to me, it's not on Attorney Wright, and I understand why the judge did what she did with Mr. Sledge, and I'm not going to second guess Judge Whitaker, but the problem was these guys were all locked up without bond, and so they didn't really have options. And then think about the other people. We talked about this last time, Megan, about people that weren't able to even get attorneys for so long. Like,
that's true.
Just broken.
Yeah. And I don't, obviously you don't know firsthand the other people's situation, but I noticed Demikion Garlington was one of the ones mentioned as having his charges dropped, and just based on everything we've heard in trial, that makes sense. But when I was looking at why he wasn't on trial in this case, I saw something about how it was because he didn't have a lawyer. That's why he was severed early on. Do you know, has that situation changed at all?
My understanding is I think he has 2 lawyers now. One I know well, and he's a great lawyer, so
oh boy,
hopefully things work out. But it looks like they're I have no inside information about any negotiations or anything going on.
Do you think the attention that the trial got might have contributed to some lawyers taking attention to this case? Because before the circle was so small, it was criminal defense lawyers in the Atlanta area, but you've probably been contacted by, have you been contacted by attorneys around the country? Is there more interest in this from people trying to help or offer advice? Maybe unwanted advice.
Offer advice.
That's
attorneys, funny. No, I've received several dozens of emails from different attorneys, even from prosecutors, like from different states, saying, keep
Wow.
fighting, keep
Yeah.
pushing, and and
That's awesome.
congratulatory emails when this came through. Now, advice. If I had hair, I would have pulled it out, because Megan, I appreciate everyone.
Yeah.
But gosh darn it,
Uh-oh.
people, the internet sleuths that acted like I didn't know what was on that drinks video, and acting like I wasn't going to bring it up, and I needed to be told, and I needed to be tagged in every
That's funny.
post, and I needed to be called, and voicemail after voicemail after voicemail from every state in the union. And our friend Thugger Daly actually did me
I
a
saw
solid.
that. Yeah.
And he's like, I think Max knows what's on the video. Y'all can stop tagging him.
Yeah, and we kind of said the same thing when we reacted to it. Y'all were like, oh, you should send it to Max. I said, nah, I'm gonna leave it alone. I know Max has probably watched this 50-11 times. If y'all want to tag him and email him, you can, but I left it alone too. I think it's funny because Doug Weinstein even mentioned this too, and we read Doug Weinstein's tweet about it. He's like, hey, y'all, Max Shart's a brilliant lawyer and attorney. He's got this under control. You don't have to keep tagging him in every single time about the third white car, or the fourth car as they call it. But yeah, hey, listen, somebody said in the chat, we were just making sure you got it, Max. It's all love.
Yeah, let Max cook, I think he said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was so appreciative of that. I understand the interest, but it was kind of like, wait a second, I'm asking these questions in a way that are leading you to the conclusion, but you don't think I know what the conclusion is. Like, that's why I'm asking these questions.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I was kind of thinking I'm holding something in my pocket that maybe the other side might not be 100% on right now. So I'm like, y'all are telling my secret right now.
We telling the secret.
Right.
I mean, hey, let's be real. Do y'all think the prosecution, as bad as they were, do y'all think the prosecution didn't see that they fumbled the bag with the third or fourth car, whatever you want to call it? They had to have known that it was going to be brought up. I mean, they called the medical examiner in there, which I'm still shocked, even after seeing all of that they called the medical examiner that basically made this whole case for Max Sharp. Max didn't really have to say anything, which is why I think he only brought it up a few times. It was like, hey, so you're telling me that he couldn't have possibly moved? Yeah. And he moved after Shannon left? Yeah. Okay. No further questions, Your Honor. The state, I mean, the state, if they miss this, then they're a lot worse than we thought.
They made it pretty clear that they were paying attention to the social media hype. I think that's one thing that could be studied in law schools, and there could be a big ABA journal article about what it was like for the attorneys and just the court staff and everyone to have so much publicity on this case, and how that changed things in the courtroom. I mean, or if it did. I mean, how it definitely changed things for you guys just in how you dealt with your everyday lives and kind of trying to deal with this. But did it change what you did in the courtroom, or help you, or sometimes hurt you, just as you worried it might become a distraction?
To me, no, I didn't pay attention to it. Max and some of the others were on constant look at the computer to see what comments were.
That's funny that they were watching.
And some of the comments would be helpful, and some of them were just totally by people that were unaware of what was going on. But yeah, it has some influence. It's just the way things are nowadays, is that people do pay attention to social media, and a lot of the trial was all about social media.
It's true.
Yeah.
That the defendants had taken part. It was a huge part.
Yeah.
Well, that was one of my disagreements with Shannon, was the different feeds. I liked Law and Crime when things were bad. I like getting the perspective of non-jurors. And, obviously there's a lot of YSL fans, and, they were always going to say, but there was some people that were more objective, and I like seeing negative comments because I know what's out there and what I need to worry about.
Yep.
But Shannon, he didn't like seeing negative comments, so he'd always want to get out of more. And I said, Shannon, seeing the negative comments helps us because we know what we need to do.
Right.
But that was kind of a funny thing.
That's funny.
But yeah.
So they came over to our channel.
How did the clients and Shannon and keep up with all the coverage? Was there, because I mean we saw you guys at the defense table, and it's
Don't do that,
like
right,
said,
Street?
there is a legitimate legal strategy to reading these comments. It's not like you're just screwing around on the internet when you're doing that. So did you have set times that you would kind of do updates, or was it just periodic that you would look at things?
We would just look at things periodically.
Yeah. Gosh.
When you're not actually talking or cross-examining or presenting evidence or anything like that, and you got time, and there was a lot of kind of off time when we knew what the witnesses were going to say and what cross-examination would be, that we had to watch the trial and see the comments. And so, yeah, it was helpful. And Shannon was especially, it's kind of boring sometimes to him. And so he would be active in the part of, in telling us things that they're saying, or what do you say about this? But we let him do that because that's what he's used to.
Yeah.
And plus
All right, so we got to take a pause here. Dennis Byron's in the building. Oh my gosh. Hold on a second. Hold on. We got to shut the show down. The chief investigative journalist in this YSL trial just called into the show. I got to bring him up here. Hold on. Dennis, are you 404 or 704? We got to bring Dennis up here. Let me see. And if y'all have any questions for Dennis, please make sure you drop them in the chat because I'm sure y'all interested to know how he felt about that alternate juror, man. Oh my gosh. So let me get Dennis up in here and see what he has to say this morning. Let me see. Just drop the link. Oh, I don't have a video link, Dennis. So it's phone call only. Cause the link I use for video, it doesn't work very well. Let me do this. Let me find this. See. He's 404. All right, Dennis, I'm gonna call you back right now.
Sorry, we're unavailable to take your call right now. But
hold on a second. Let me try him again.
I just cringed when I heard my voice on that voicemail.
Hey, Dennis Byron's in the building. Hey, man, I'm the same way. I can't
Playboy. What it do?
Listen, I can't even watch my own videos. I'm gonna be honest. Like, it just pains me so much. So I'm with you. Dennis, thank you for calling in, man. I appreciate you being here this morning. How are you?
I'm doing good. I had to pull up. Someone sent me a link to your videos yesterday. Wait a minute. That's me on the screen.
That was you. All you, man. Hey, listen, you were holding out like you were playing a high stakes poker game up in there. I was like, this man is a true professional. I don't know how you did it. But anyway, before we get into it,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. We got to let the people know where they can find you, where they can support your content, all that good stuff.
Well, you can find me on all social medias at Mr. Dennis Byron. That's the MrDennisByron. I wasn't going to finesse it like Mr. Pee Wee Roscoe, but that is how you find me.
All right. Well, Dennis, I mean, you have so much experience, not only in your professional career, but when it comes to this YSL trial in general. I mean, you were in the courtroom, you were taking shots from Judge Whitaker. I mean, so many things have gone on.
Oh my God.
Just share your thoughts, man. What's on your mind?
Well, hold on. Let's talk. Since you addressed the elephant in the room, Judge Whittaker, you kind of played me, but it's all good. I mean, I saw it. Listen, when you said that yesterday on the show and you put the sound effect behind, that's oh man, now I'm ready to get revenge.
Yeah, man, she had it out for the media for a while. I mean, y'all were feeling the heat.
But see, I'm gonna have to defend her a little bit because I had a certain individual in the room who created an atmosphere that made certain individuals scrutinize, quote unquote, members of the press. And and this is why I'm always apprehensive when certain individuals who's not put in the work or done the work or even can comprise a story show up and try to wear the badge of media. And there was a whole lot of stuff going on. I don't really want to talk about too much over here because he's hating on her. He said, no, I'm not hating on you. But I shouldn't have caught that. I shouldn't have caught that straight when I did. But that's another story. I think I talked about it on the lead attorney's platform.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to. During the trial, I didn't want to make it a big issue because it wasn't about me. It was about all the individuals that were obviously facing a heck of a lot of time. So I didn't want to throw her off our A game, and that's the judge because once I fired the paperwork, it would have been a different situation. Then then I didn't want other members of the press to catch it either. So, but with that said, I mean the case is over with to a certain degree. Yeah. And I mean the great thing about this, and I'm gonna commend you and someone put your name in my chat. I didn't know who you were. Yeah. But I see now that you have been covering this case as well, and I think the value in allowing individuals to, I guess, even do reactions to some of the stories that we do, is that more people are now more aware of how the criminal justice system works. Yeah. And I've been doing this a long time, and I scratch my head when I see some of the outcomes of some of these trials. But now, it's important for other people to actually see this, and they can make their own assessment based on the way that it comes out in cameras. This is why removing cameras from the courtroom is the worst thing a judge can do. Yes, the worst thing. I agree. Why you saw the Lord crime camera, but it was only one camera in the courtroom. When she did what she did, you need to be able to see the reactions to testimony. You need to be able to, I like capturing moments in history, and I shared some of my photos on social media, but I'm watching not just who's on the stand, but what the reaction is to certain things that are being said. So with that, I don't take kindly to judges removing real media out the courtroom when they're actually doing their work.
Yeah, and I mean, you've been involved in this trial and several other trials throughout your career. Specifically in this trial, what feeling or sense did you get being in the courtroom? Maybe even pre-Whittaker with Judge Glanville being there, and then once she came in, and as everything progressed over the past few months to the end of the trial, what was the atmosphere like for you?
Well, the first thing I noticed, and this is important for people to understand, this trial, the behind the scene things that was happening before this trial, I knew already there was some BS about to happen, because the first thing I noticed is the first day that right after the judge took the bench, Judge Glanville, I saw a high presence of security at the courtroom door. Usually when I cover trials throughout Fulton County, you have the regular deputies moving about, but you don't have long guns in front of the courtroom door. And that's not for the defendants, because they don't get a chance to see who's outside. That's for the people who are coming in. And it was very intimidating. Plus the searching of lawyers, attorneys who hold bar cards. They're searching their bags like they're criminals. Wow. And it was giving me the impression that the government was trying to send a message to the lawyers. And then you saw what happened when Judge Glanville ordered an attorney to write an essay, AP style essay on the, I forgot what the issue was at the time, but they were doing so much to these lawyers. You had other lawyers having to buy lunch, and you had another lawyer who had donuts, and you had another lawyer who had his medicine in another bottle, and they made that an issue. And just a lot going on. And I haven't seen this in that Fulton County. I've been covering cases in Fulton County for over 20 years. The way they handled this case was it was like they were trying to apply pressure on all the defendants, the lawyers. You heard testimony with some of the witnesses and how the investigators were interacting with some of the witnesses, which is concerning. And that's something that needs to be addressed, because there's potentially another trial in February. They're going to have to use some of the same witnesses. And how tainted are these witnesses moving forward in any other trials?
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, all this amount of press and content that's out there. I mean, the jury process was so tumultuous going into this trial. I can't imagine what that's going to be like going into February, man. This seems nearly impossible to me.
Well, I think we might see these cases getting resolved before February, but in the rare instance that this prosecutor, DA Fonnie Wills, decides to move forward, it's going to be scrutinized. She lost a RICO case. I mean, getting plea deals, and obviously I understand why some of the people took plea deals.
Right.
But, one of the reasons that it may be problematic now that we know what the Department of Justice report reveals, and you having people in jail under those conditions, it's kind of hard not to be enticed on signing a factual agreement like Mr. Sledge did.
Mm-hmm.
I understand why he did it. I spoke to him and his lawyer. I understand why he did it. Was it right? Some people are not built for this. Some people, you may be tough on the street, but when you're in a closed environment with other quote unquote, I won't say killers, but individuals who don't give two craps about what's happening outside because they're in a new environment. And, like Woody told you best, it was the worst place he had to be in.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to ask you about that too, speaking specifically to Monk Tunk and Derek Wright. Did you hear a lot of conversation between attorneys and their clients, I guess, as the case was going on, maybe little comments about what was happening, and what sense did you get there of just their feeling as the trial was going on? Like, what were you seeing?
Well, let me say this, and this is very important.
Yeah.
If I'm in a hallway and the attorney's talking to his client, I'm not going to share that to the public because that communication was privileged.
Yes.
I saw certain other individual was talking about what she claimed to have heard. A professional journalist is not going to repeat something that would harm the outcome of the case one way or the other. So if I ear hustle something, I'm not going to repeat it because it wasn't supposed to me. So I had to be very careful, and I don't want people to go to other courtrooms and think that playing the hallway and trying to see what lawyers are talking about to fight for their client is something that you share to the public. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'll be no different than working for the prosecutor.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. We did have a question come in. I wanted to ask you from Samantha Crumbly. She says, what do you think about Miss Sylvia, Miss Jackson, Mr. Jackson and his wife, Burrito, and Detective Janice? Now, when it comes to Sylvia, listen, you can cover that if you want to. I know you just dropped a video about it yesterday, I think. So that's up to you if you want to go there. This is your show right now. But shout out to Samantha Crumbly for asking about that.
Okay, so that's a broad question, what I think about different individuals. I want Ms. Crumbly to be more specific in asking on what individual. I don't want to just give a broad statement on any particular one. If you have a particular question.
Yeah, let me ask you about Detective Super Investigator, social media stalker, Viverito. What?
Your words, not mine.
Okay, well, I'm happy to say it. What were you seeing, not only, I don't want to say from the jury, but when she was on the stand, what was going on in the courtroom at that point? Because it seemed like there was a lot of tension there between not only the defense, but what we heard from the jury now, hearing how they felt about her testimony. What did you think about that?
Okay, so fair disclosure, the day she was giving testimony, I was reporting remotely, but obviously from my listening to her testimony and then talking to other individuals, I I think that, and I want to say this before I go into that. I was sent a email from the prosecution of the witnesses that they wanted to have shielded from the camera. I objected to all witnesses being shielded unless there was a security and safety issue. I didn't believe, based on what I knew about her in my research, that she should have been one of the individuals being protected from the cameras, and that was also applicable to Mr. Detective Belknap.
Yeah.
And right after I did that, and this is what some of the things you guys hadn't seen, things started being handled a little different towards me in particular, and how certain individuals in the courtroom was reacting. You know, the prosecution received the email as well as the judge, and I don't know if they said, well, why is this guy objecting? Just, you know, go along and get along. No, that's not how I work. If I'm in the courtroom to bring this news to the public, and there's an issue with a certain individual on camera, this case has been covered all over the world, and you're saying this person should be shielded? Well, we now learned that she wasn't worried about her image when she confronted Miss Bumpus, Miss Jackson, in the hallway. And then she was very, very cocky in her testimony. She didn't answer the questions as it was asked of her. She wanted to, she wanted to volunteer other information that wasn't asked of her. So it was kind of interesting. You're really trying very hard to drive a narrative that didn't align with the evidence was.
Yes. And even shedding a light on how botched this entire investigation was, not only into the seizing of Young Thug's property, but going into the Shamel Drinks investigation. I mean, it seemed like the state using her as their last witness was kind of a bad move, in my opinion.
Well, think about this. There's a $500,000 watch missing.
Yep.
They came into the courtroom with a bag of evidence, and I saw the bag of evidence. Why was his jewelry, millions of dollars worth of jewelry, placed in one big bag with diamonds? And, like, do you really supposed to handle people's property this way? It's almost like they assumed they was going to be able to keep the property, so they didn't take the inventory, or this was another way of to say, oh, we just grabbed it and left. No one's grabbing $1 million worth of items in $1 million home and not inventory and voucher it properly.
Yeah.
Pictures and everything. So we can't ignore the fact that it's a watch missing. And if Doug doesn't have the watch, then someone stole the watch. And if that person who stole the watch is a part of the investigation team, then do we then now believe they don't have a reason to see this man convicted? Because if he's convicted, then they can do a forfeiture proceeding to try to keep his assets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wanted to ask you about, speaking of the jury, I wanted to ask you about your interview that you did and we covered here on the channel with the alternate juror. Man,
woo, that was something.
That was absolutely amazing. And shout out to you again. If y'all haven't watched that, make sure you go check it out on Mr. Byron's YouTube channel. Amazing interview. What were your thoughts about that whole situation, first of all?
Well, I was taken aback by some of the things that she said, because she came in. It did appear she came in with a biases, you know, especially when it related to rap and hip hop. And then she tried to walk it back a little bit. If you heard the interview,
I did. Yeah.
So, you know, and then she said that she, you know, I want your audience to know that I got the interview within 10 minutes of the verdict. After the verdict.
Yep.
10 minutes. I was literally rushing to the court. I got a phone call, and I made the U-turn, went back, and just went live with her. I didn't write any questions down. I wanted to give her a chance to talk, and I wanted to see, you know, because she was there up until the point where everyone rested. So she had a long time, and I have a follow-up with her as a matter of fact. I don't know if people want me to do it.
Please do. Yeah, please do. I'll be watching, and I know a couple of people mentioned they just subscribed to the channel. and they'll be watching too. I was surprised at how, I guess you can call it bias, but how upset she was, especially her.
I learned some things. I
Yeah.
learned some things after that interview.
I'm sure.
I understand. I understand, and all I can say is that based on her background and I want to say some things, but I don't want to blow my interview.
No, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. No, you can speak on it. You can call back once you do the second one. But I'll say personally, I was not in a negative way. I was surprised at I guess the basis of her bias in that way. And she said she didn't have bias, fine, but how she just viewed this case through the lens of hip hop and through the lens of rap and through the lens of, I guess, somewhat gang culture. It was interesting to me because with the burden of proof being on the state, they really didn't show that this was a criminal street gang, right? I mean, they showed there were a lot of guys out here doing stuff and they were hanging out with each other and making music. So I just wonder where that came from in her case. I don't know if you got a sense of where.
Well, I got a sense that she had a preconceived notion about all these defendants. I even asked her about certain witness testimony, like for example, Lil Woody, and she believed his interrogation was the truth. She didn't believe what he said on the stand was the truth. Did you get that from our interview?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so it's two interviews. You might have not seen. There's two interviews. She believed what Woody said in the interrogation was more believable than what he was saying on the stand, and obviously what he said on the stand didn't help the state's case.
Right.
So that, and then I asked her about other witness testimony, and then we got into the law enforcement testimony of like Detective Dennis and so forth. It seemed like she believed them even more, and that's in contrast to not only what the other jurors said, but it's also in contrast to what most of the people that have actually watched this case from the comfort of their homes and everything. It did appear that she might not have been paying attention, or she just maybe she saw something that no one else saw.
Yeah.
And I saw the jurors. They spoke about 409. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think we've had several attorneys here in our live chat that have mentioned going to a jury verdict always makes you nervous because you could, and as you heard in your interview that you did with this alternate, that she could have easily have been filling out a verdict form, and this could have went completely different. So it always worries me. And even when I initially heard the jury makeup, I was kind of like, man, I have no idea what they're thinking right now, because you have jurors on one side who are like, we're going purely based off of evidence. But if you have that one juror like you had that said, no, this is rap culture, this is the gang culture, they were in it, guilty.
Now, do you remember early on in the trial, there was an issue with a juror where she had to tell Judge Glanville about a situation that she saw on social media?
Yes, I do remember that.
So I knew at that point this juror would probably be someone that would stand out because she was already, I won't say snitching, but it was a content creator that was actually in the courtroom, and she had seen him on social media. And my question was, why are you on social media? You were told early on, once you were selected, not to be on social media.
Yeah.
So it was a lot going on with that. So, I kind of figured that she would be someone that would stand out. And she did stand out for a bit when the cameraman accidentally panned the camera on her and another individual.
Jeez.
If you remember that, it was the two jurors got revealed, and she was the one that got revealed.
Yeah, exactly. And then we had the whole situation with the nicknames of the jurors and jurors being offended. Yeah, that whole thing was.
Well, hold on. So that wasn't exactly true. It was the jurors didn't know about the nicknames that Silverback gave him, and I think the judge was wrong. the judge was wrong in dressing down Silverback about that because that was protected under her First Amendment.
Yeah.
So the judge was wrong there. Her lecturing her about, journalism. Well, the judge know that there's a bunch of journalists in the room, and if she really was interested in following some of the rules of professional conduct in media, she could have reached out to some of us. But I saw what the judge was doing. And if you watch how she dressed down members who was under a Rule 22, I won't say press, but who was under a Rule 22, you can see that she had a certain, I won't say disdain for members of the press, but she was kind of more vocal with those who were either trying to get a Rule 22, i.e. Caleb Bumpus.
Yep, I remember that.
And we're going to talk about that, I guess, on my channel. But
yeah,
I understand why Caleb was trying to get that Rule 22 now. We didn't know what we know now, as far as her being married, being married to Shannon.
Yeah.
But now I understand. She wanted to make sure she can document this on her own with her camera. She didn't want to piggyback off Silverback. No pun intended.
Yeah, and y'all go check out Mr. Dennis Byron, man. Absolutely amazing. We've got NC Spence in here, drop the 10 bomb. She says, thank you for your interview of her. My teenage boys and I were looking at the interview. That interview was a segue into a learning moment for my children. She said, thank you for that interview. Yeah, and I mean, again, you never, thank God she was not filling out a verdict form, because goodness, that was tough.
Well, I think a lot of people want to know, how did she even get picked on this jury? They had strikes.
Yeah.
You would think she would be one of the people that would have got struck during the the voir dire process, but she made it to this jury, and I think she would, if she stayed on this and she was able to go into that deliberation room, I think they would have had a hung jury. I'm almost certain they would have had a hung jury. I mean, then what happens then? You have a hung jury, judge gives an Allen charge. Then you come back and we judge. No one, she's not moving. So now you have a retrial, a mistrial, and then you got to come back and try to do it again. That means these guys would have to stay in there for another 2 years, perhaps. Yeah,
that would have been rough. Yeah, thank God it went the way that it did, and those boys are free for sure.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, thank you, Dennis. I appreciate you stopping by the show, man. Again, let the people know where they can find you, where they can check out your content, and we also dropped the link to your YouTube channel in the chat as well.
Yeah, definitely. Listen, I like your content. You did your recap was entertaining, and I will be checking you out as well. And you can follow me. I tell people, Google me, baby. That's it. Shout out to Tiana Taylor.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Just Google me. You can find me all over social media. And also, I think I announced last week that we will be doing a movie from this trial. My business partner, Manny Haley, who has the movie True to the Game, him and I are working on something really nice with the team in LA. So our casting starts next year in January, early February.
All right, there it is. Y'all go support this man, Dennis Byron, in here. Thank you so much for stopping by and supporting the channel, man. And I'm looking forward to that second interview. I'll be there. I'll be there watching, and we'll probably react to it too if we hear some more interesting things.
Absolutely. But yeah, you have my number. Reach out. Don't share it. Listen, I had a stalker on my phone the other day.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if you guys heard that. Yeah, don't share the number.
No, absolutely. And reach out anytime you need anything, Dennis. I got you, man. And you can come up to the
Appreciate
channel and hop on here anytime as well. Okay.
Appreciate you. Keep doing the good work, my man.
All right. Same to you, man. There it is. The Honorable Dennis Byron in here blessing us with a quick breakdown of everything that's been going on, man. Shout out to Dennis. Again, y'all make sure you go subscribe, support him. He's got some dope content over there. He just dropped a video yesterday. Absolutely wild. Oh, man. Oh, my my gosh. Dennis is absolutely killing it and a true professional. So y'all go show him some love. Shout out to everybody who's in here too. Thank y'all for the super chats. I just read that super chat from N Spence. Appreciate you. We've got Les Cleaver in here, has been a member for 2 months. Oh my gosh. He said, showing love to my CE Beats family. Shout out to you. Samantha Crumbly in here. Oh, she asked another video. She said, Dennis, I'll watch your video on Miss Sylvia. I just subscribed. What do you think about Dennis being banned? Yeah, that's a good question. And we'll have to ask him about that the next time he comes up here, because I know Dennis, he would have been in the courtroom at that point too. So thank you for that. Also, Amber Rain just gifted 20 memberships. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Amber, for the love. I appreciate it. Let's see who else is in here. Let me see what y'all say. Puda Bear is in here. She's still mad because of what I said about the jurors, about the black women, about the sisters. Hey, I was right. If you listen to Dennis interview that he did, oh man, it could have went either way. So shout out to Puda. We got Les Cleaver in here, says the jury made the right choice in the verdict. I agree 1000%. Yeah, and Dennis is clarifying. I don't think she was saying, I think she was saying about Detective Dennis being banned. I don't think she was saying, yeah, we'll have to clarify. Let me see. What else are y'all saying in here? Paige says she needs to blame Love and her hot mess of an attorney. She single-handedly ruined this case. Love lied, cheated, and conducted herself in an unethical manner. Yeah, I wanted to ask Dennis about that, but I know his time's valuable, so I didn't want to keep him here forever. But I wanted to find out just what was going on in the courtroom when Miss Love was up there. Because y'all know, man, Miss Love, she was struggling. She was struggling. So I would love to hear from someone who was in the courtroom what that looked like, how the jury was feeling, because we heard from 3 of the jurors that they were not rocking with Miss Love at all. And they were glad once she got up out of there too. Also, shout out to Joshua Van Lawn. The Honorable Attorney Joshua Van Lawn is in here. He said, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure you and I were 100% correct about the outcome of this case. Joshua Van Lawn, I'm gonna let the receipts be what the receipts be. And I did have receipts over on X. When I said this to Thugger Daily, I said, the only thing I was worried about, especially once everyone else took plea deals, was that gun charge on Shannon Stillwell. I mean, you got your girlfriend's gun on the side of the road, yards from where you got arrested. They're probably going to get you for that one. But everything else, they just didn't prove. Shamel Drinks, gone. And Joshua Van Lawn knows a lot about juries and how things can just go either way. So again, when I found out, and if y'all go back and actually watch the live stream, instead of just being emotional and keying on one certain thing that I said, and you listen to what I said about the jury makeup, I said this can go one of 2 ways. And based on where we're at in the case, it could go either the way that you heard the alternate juror, Dennis Byron, interviewed, what she said, to where she's like, get these guys off the streets. They're hood. They did this. They were together. I don't care what happens. I wouldn't want them on the street with my kids. And then you have it going the other way with what we saw in the interview that Mel over at I'm Not a Lawyer But did, to where we had several of the women who were on the jury saying, all right, I'm looking at this evidence. I'm seeing what's being displayed, and based off of this, I don't see how this is even possible. So it'll be interesting to see what happens moving forward, especially as we go into February, once they're trying to select this next jury, because I mean, who hasn't heard about this case in Fulton County? I don't know. Shout out to Nana Banana. She says, stay classy. You're awesome. Oh, thank you so much, Nana Banana, for the 2 bomb in here. Buddha Bear says he wasn't getting out of gun charge. Nope. This is hard to beat. And Joshua Van Lon said, I actually did not call the verdict on the gun charge, so I was wrong about that at least. Yeah, I mentioned it the other day or last week on X. I said, that's the only thing I think Shin is going to get caught up on. And what we were seeing from the jury, I think, I think it shows that, hey, if it doesn't apply, let it fly. That's what they say. All right, we've still got a lot we've got to cover. And thank you to Dennis Byron for that surprise interview. I love that, man. So we got that a little bit from Megan. We need to go back and look at this interview. This was an amazing interview. And do I want to say it's Keith Adams' first? This is probably his first interview other than the post-trial interview that he did since Young Thug has been free. So I want to go back, rewind a little bit. And in this interview, we actually have Young Thug's first appearance on video and on social media ever. So shout out to the Fit Lawyer ATL. Y'all make sure you go subscribe, show her some love. I know Amy will drop the link to her channel in the chat, but she did a great job with this interview. I want to rewind it a little bit to the beginning, and then we'll jump ahead and see where Thug joins the live stream and what he had to say here. Here we go.
Sudden, the state.
Oh, thank you, J Flo.
Able to get away with what they were getting away with before.
Let me run back a little bit.
Introduce yourself to the people who don't know you on this national trial. How could they not?
Well, and thank you for the introduction. I'd probably be remiss if I let you just get away with saying I went to Tulane Law School without also saying that I went to Howard University undergrad.
Oh, I didn't know that. Thank you for dropping that. Okay.
HU. You in the house. That's right.
Yes. Okay. I love it.
Yeah, but it's great to be here, Tiffany. And you're right. When the trial was over, this 2.5-year long trial was over. I really would have liked to have gotten away to an island somewhere and relaxed. But
yeah, I agree, Josh.
Unfortunately, there were cases that have been sitting around for 2.5 years that needed attention. So the judges, who I found out were watching all of the live streams just as much as anybody else, started calling me the next day. Mr. Adams, looks like you're not on trial anymore. Coming in, we got some cases over here for you to try. So
the work never ends.
That's okay.
Thank you, Amy.
That's what we do.
That's what we do. And that's what people don't understand. They think when you're self-employed as an attorney that you kind of control your schedule. But when you enter an appearance in an attorney's case, you're at the judge's beck and call.
That is true. It's unless you're smart enough to file a leave of absence to protect you for certain times during when you want to be out of pocket.
Yes.
Listen, and you know what? We've got clients who come into our offices and their families pay us a lot of money to do our best for them, to be there for them. And so we have to honor that. Yes. I take that really seriously. As much as I took Jeffrey's case, Young Thug, for everybody here, I took his case seriously. Everyone else in my docket and in my file cabinet and on my desk deserves the same attention. So, we got work to do and we're happy to do it. We'll find time to rest.
Yes, I love how you continue to fight. Thank you so much. So let me get right to it. The verdict came down yesterday.
Yes.
What was your reaction? What did you think?
Not surprised. Listen, we have spent the better part of a year in that courtroom trying this case. And there are some fantastic attorneys. Max Shard is a great attorney. Doug Weinstein, so proud of him. He's a great attorney. Brian, Angela D. Williams, Katie, Lamar, Bruce, everybody. We have some good lawyers in there. And we worked on this case and we helped each other. And when a piece of evidence came in, whether it had to do with us or another client, we all jumped in, we did our thing. And so we spent the better part of a year knocking down this ridiculous case that the state had put up. And it paid off. It paid its dividends. I was not surprised.
It did, yeah.
I fully expected both Mr. Kendrick and Mrs. Stillwell to be acquitted, and it was a great outcome.
Yes, it was. It was amazing. Like you say, the state should have never brought this prosecution. And I think the resolution of the cases, how they're playing out, the sentencing we're seeing from the judge is evidence that she agrees as well.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. The only thing we ever wanted when we walked into that courtroom, all of us, was to have a fair trial. And for a number of months with the first judge, the rulings just
recused
weren't
judge.
appropriate. The temperament wasn't appropriate. The state was getting away with everything they wanted to get away with. They would lie, they'd hide evidence, they'd withhold stuff that they weren't supposed to withhold. They'd filibuster and keep talking and talking and talking. And all we wanted was an opportunity to really defend our case and have a judge who held everybody to task. And we got that. And you saw how things shifted when that happened. All of a sudden, the state wasn't able to get away with what they were getting away with before.
Right.
To withhold evidence and not be held accountable. And our time was valued a bit more. We'd come in at 9, and instead of getting there at 9 and having to wait till 11, we'd actually start at 9.
Annoying. Oh my God.
So it went,
I can't imagine for them.
Better.
Yeah, you also didn't see the states kind of back and forth with the judge, because with Glanville, there were times when ADA Love would be arguing and shouting and like she was fighting.
Too much talking.
Listen, let me tell you something. When most attorneys know that you win some, you lose some, right? And you make your argument to the judge, and the judge rules, and the judge says, "I've ruled, objection overruled," right? And okay, that's fine. We've lost that one. We sit down. But what the state would continuously do is just keep talking, and she talk and unfortunately, that would sometimes end up in swaying the judge to overturn his ruling. And we're sitting there like, oh my God, what is going on here?
How did you bag up on that? That's crazy.
But finally, we had a judge come in there and say, listen, I've ruled, and held their feet to the fire and called them on it when they were being dishonest.
And told them to get their stuff together.
That made all the difference in the world.
It did. Do you got to get this question in? Mm-hmm. What was Young Thug's reaction to the verdict?
This is my favorite part right here.
Be honest. What was
all right. So let me tell you something. Jeffrey called me about 5 minutes after that verdict came down. I'm sitting there in my office. I'm watching it on the live stream. I'm doing some work. I'm excited as hell for Max and Doug and their clients. And I look over, my FaceTime is ringing, and it's Jeffrey, and he's like, "Oh man." His reaction was twofold. He was happy for Kendrick and for Stillwell. Very happy. He was happy that they're coming home. Mm-hmm. There was a part of him, I think, that was thinking, you know what, we probably should have gone all the way.
Dang, and a lot of y'all said this. A lot of y'all said this on the channel, and I've seen it over on X as well. Y'all saying Thug should have waited, Thug should have waited. Well, now we can officially say Thug should have waited, because it came out of his own mouth, according to Keith Adams. He's like, man, maybe I should have waited just a couple more months and got this thing over with. Because now Thug, seeing the interview that Mel did with 3 of the jurors, he's seeing and hearing, what juror 56 was saying, like, man, I was the foreman and there was no way that we were going to find these guys guilty. And he's probably thinking, if I had just waited another month or two, because obviously the defense would have had some evidence to, or would have had some witnesses to call and their own evidence to present in their case. But I mean, to think no felony, no probation, possibly, that's tough. But we can officially say now, according to Keith Adams, that Young Thug should have waited. And Brian Steele said that too.
With a not guilty verdict as well. And I agree, we would have, and we wanted to. Came a point where Jeffrey made a decision that he wanted to go ahead and enter that plea and go home on that day, and he did. But so his reaction, he was happy for them. There was a little bit of regret on his part.
Understandable.
But overall, he's still doing great. He's happy to be home. I was talking to him. He's out in California. He's out.
Talk about that, G, Bunny.
So he's doing just fine, and he's going to be doing just fine.
Good. Now, a lot of people have the question of, can he now undo his plea? Can he take it back? And
here we go.
Can the judge amend anything now that the other 2 were found not guilty?
Well, that wouldn't be the basis. The fact that other folks continued on and they were ultimately found not guilty would not be a basis to to undo anything that's happened thus far. So the short answer is probably not. You always have the ability to go back somewhere down the road and file a motion to modify a sentence, right? Or to reconsider a sentence. And that can be done a little bit down the road. In terms of withdrawing the plea, you can file a motion to withdraw a plea, but really a court's going to say, well, did you enter that plea freely, voluntarily, and knowingly? And if you did, then there's no basis really to withdraw it.
Yeah.
And that plea played out on national and international TV. And so the judge and everyone else had the ability to see us describe our discussions with our client. And Jeffrey addressed the court himself and indicated that that's what he wanted to do. So to go back in front of the judge now and say, I want to withdraw the plea probably is not a winning strategy.
Exactly. Thank you for sharing that and explaining that to the people. And so now that, okay, so let's talk about Thug's charges that he had pending. So, because a lot of people are confused because there was a lot of charges. And so when I listened to the jurors talk, some of the jurors on I'm Not a Lawyer But's channel last night, they had that question about Yak Gotti's, about the watch. Because they said if Doug had said that the watch was Yak Gotti's, then that would have placed him in the home. And so it sounded like maybe they would have considered giving him that charge. And so then when I hear that, I remember, well, Thug had charges that, and it was his home, and there were drugs and weapons found in the home. Was that a concern that he could possibly be found guilty of those charges?
Sure, it would have been a concern. The law allows that if you are in custody and control of a residence or a car, for example, that you're presumed to be in custody and control of the contents of that residence. Now, that can be rebutted, right? If there are other people who are in there, I mean, I can have a house and you can bring something into my house. That doesn't make it mine. And so in this case, both Jeffrey and Diamante were both charged with items found in the house. They call it constructive possession because theoretically they could both exercise custody and control over those items, including watches, jewelry, and so forth. So was it a concern? It wasn't a big concern for us. I mean, if we had gotten to the point in the trial where we were presenting evidence, you would have heard evidence. You would have heard witnesses testify to the ownership of different items in that house. You would have heard evidence about the fact that that's one of many houses that Jeffrey resides in. And he's really not in that house very often. He had just come back from an international concert. He had just gotten back in the country a day or two before that. So, to say that everything in that house he should have known was there or was his was not the winning argument. We weren't that concerned about that. We would have won that one.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for sharing. So when you say evidence presented, so what we saw once the case continued, when it became time for the defense to enter evidence, they chose not to, right? So what you're saying is if
that surprised a lot of us.
You all definitely were going to be presenting a defense.
Oh yeah, there would have been probably a month's worth of a defense presented from us.
There you go.
Okay.
See,
we had a case to put on. We had a case to put on to rebut a lot of the things that the state had contended and their narrative that they had put forth.
Right. Well, I will say that you all did a very good job because I know it's team effort, right? Whenever one of you all is standing up and presenting, you all both have worked on this. So the jurors, the opening and how Brian Steele made Young Thug relatable and humanized him and showed how that 9 years ago, this was his age and this is how he's grown and how he's come to and how he's brought people along with him. That stuck with them. So even in deliberations, they held on to that. And so you all did a great job. You did a great job in that point. And just talk about how that team even came together of you all in this case.
The reason that caught on with the members of the jury, as I understand it, is that it was true. And it's relatable. And unlike the prosecution who had blinders on and just, they seem, they forgot where they come from. We all know
human.
What Cleveland Avenue is like. And Cleveland Avenue was rough before Jeffrey Williams was born and grew up on Cleveland Avenue. All right. Yeah. So, yes, it is a true story that this young man came from nothing. Dirt poor, going to school, not to go learn some lessons, but because they had food at school, right? Sleeping on friends' floor. And he made it out. He made it out and by hard work, by talent, and he wanted to bring some of his people along with him. And a lot of us can relate to that. Maybe the DAs pretended that they couldn't relate to it, but we could relate to that. Brian's been representing Jeffrey for a long time. 10 plus, 15 plus years. I've been representing him for a good number of years. And sitting next to that I want to say kid because he's a good bit younger than me. He ain't no kid. He's in his 30s. But, sitting next to that young man, you come to realize that, Jeffrey is not necessarily the public persona that we see. He's a funny guy. He's a smart guy. I mean, we sit there and we chuckle like two 16-year-old high school boys, in the middle of this darn trial. And so you get to know him. And I think Brian's description of him and his life, and even when I had the opportunity to cross-examine some witnesses and kind of put some questions out there, I think we were putting the real Jeffrey Williams in front of the jury instead of this caricature that the state wanted to try and ignore. He really cared for some of these folks. Yeah, he knew folks from the street because he came from the streets. But we had a narrative and a story, I think, that came through as strongly as the one that the state had.
Yeah. And shout out to Mr. Adams for giving us the greatest sound bite of the entire trial. I mean, shout out to him. Oh, hold on.
And so what
there we go.
Have ultimately is that there is no evidence, none.
So I want to skip ahead here and go to when Young Thug actually calls in. And shout out to Mr. Adams for giving us this moment too. It's super dope.
By the actions of the state and by the actions of one particular prosecutor in this case. It's difficult to
let me back up a little bit.
Same identifiers. I guess you all a gang.
Yeah.
YSL is a gang.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, how did you feel about him calling everyone the honorable except Adrian? And then when he switched and in the middle of a sentence called Glanville honorable judge, scratch that.
Messed up, man.
You folks don't miss anything. Let me tell you something about Brian Steele. And I love the guy. He and I have known each other for years and years. We've had dozens of cases together. We have cases together now. He's a great guy, and he is not pretentious, and he loves the law, and he loves this. He loves. Yeah,
shout out to Brian.
And so when he comes in and he refers to someone as the honorable this and the honorable court, he means it.
Yeah.
But I think, to be honest, that he was so put off by the actions of the state and by the actions of one particular prosecutor in this case. It's difficult to refer to someone as honorable when they are being dishonest, when they are bastardizing the practice of law by hiding evidence or withholding evidence. All anyone wants is a fair trial, and you let the chips fall where they may. And I think he saw that, and he couldn't bring himself to refer to someone as honorable when he didn't feel as though they were acting in that vein.
Shout out to Brian.
Right. How did Young Thug feel, and how did you all feel receiving so much support from everyone? Was he aware of all the live streamers, the TikTokers, and how much everyone was invested in this case?
He
Wi-Fi
was.
is kind of fuzzy.
I'm sorry.
Your internet is kind of, I don't know, I can still see you good, but it's kind of.
Okay. Like, how about now?
Okay. We'll see. I can still hear you and everything. It'll probably clear back up. Yeah, that's better.
Okay. He was very, very, it kept him. He was happy to get the support that he did. I don't know that he was surprised to get it. I mean, the guy's an international superstar, so maybe he's on a different level for me.
He said the recused judge.
As a matter of fact, look who's calling now.
Oh, is it Young Thug?
Yes, it is. Hold on.
Wow, let's put him on speaker. Isn't that
Hey,
something?
Jeffrey, what's going on, man?
Man, just chill. What you got going?
I'm actually on a live stream with a reporter talking about you.
Okay.
Say hello to the folks.
Hey, we got Thug in the building.
Hey, Young Thug,
That's crazy.
We have been praying for you, supporting you, watching you. We are keeping you in prayer while you're on this probation. It's just, we got you in prayer.
Hey, Jeff. Yes, sir.
Get me off the probation.
Okay.
There you go.
I wish we could start a petition to do that. We got to get you on the channel so people can hear.
Get him off that probation, man.
Everyone has been so invested in this trial and the outcome. how did that support feel? This is the question I just asked. Did you feel the support from everyone?
Jeff, we'll hold off on the attorney-client conversation in a second, but what the folks want to know is how you felt about the support that you received from everyone online in the chats, everyone out there. How you felt about that support?
I was lovely. It kept me going.
There you go.
There you go.
Listen, man.
We kept them going, man.
You send me those photos of the jury and shit that they got out of my house.
I will do that. Tell you what. Let me wrap this up, and I'm gonna call you back in a few minutes so you and I can chat offline. Okay?
Yeah, Jeff is all about his business, man.
I know you're on a different time zone over there, but I'm gonna talk to you in a little bit. You're Miami?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, all right, man. I'm gonna call you back in a few. Okay? All right, bro.
Don't give up your location, man.
Isn't that something? We just asked that question, and here he comes.
That's crazy.
Here he comes.
And it never ends, right? Trial is over, but you still got work to do. Hey,
listen, man.
And speaking, let me let Mr. Adams finish, and then I'll bring this up for y'all in a second.
It's hard to, when you sit next to someone every day for the last 2.5 years, you can't help but get real close.
Yes.
But you know what? He was he was really very humbled by that support, and it did keep him going. It kept us going.
Yeah.
Folks would call. Let me tell you something. I must have gotten 5 or 6 emails a day from different folks from all over the world, expressing their support, sending me some potential questions to ask the witnesses. It was fantastic, and we are so appreciative of it. Attorneys, lay people. I was in Kroger, and this dude from Cameroon came up to me and he said, "Hey, aren't you Young Thug's lawyer?" He said, "Listen, man, we've been watching you in Cameroon. We are so supporting you. We love you. Tell Jeffrey we love him." I have a friend who's a teacher at Westlake High School whose kids put together some videos and sent them into Jeffrey.
That's dope.
It was outstanding. It really was.
All right. So speaking of Thug appealing and his whole probation, shout out to Thugger Daily again. So Young Thug's lawyer has filed a motion to amend his sentence, which is insane. What? And this actually happened yesterday, shortly after Mr. Adams got off of this interview, which is very interesting. He said Young Thug's lawyer has filed a motion to amend his sentence, asking the judge to allow him to use his home on the outskirts of Metro Atlanta. His PO has no objection. What does it say? Comes now, Jeffrey Williams, by and through undersigned counsel, and hereby files this motion to amend his sentence. In support of this motion to amend his sentence, Jeffrey Williams shows as follows. On or about October 31st, 2024, Mr. Williams tendered a non-negotiated plea deal, and this honorable court sentenced Mr. Williams to probation with special conditions of the same, which include but are not limited to banishment from the Metro Atlanta area for the first 10 years of probation. On or about November 8th, 2024, the honorable court entered an amended sentence sheet to further define Metro Atlanta as defined by the United States Census Bureau. Mr. Williams files under seal contemporaneously with the filing of this motion the city for which one of his homes is located, which is a few miles to the most extreme border of the definition of Metro Atlanta as memorialized in the amended sentencing sheet, which we're going to go back and look at that here in a second. Mr. Williams has family in the Metro Atlanta area, specifically in Atlanta, Georgia area, and respectfully requests the ability to reside/visit at times in the home located in the city in the attached under seal document so that he can have family gatherings for holidays and other lawful reasons with his family, friends, and business associates, which is a home already owned by Mr. Williams. On Thursday, December 5th, 2024, Fulton County Chief Probation Officer, I can't read that name, advised via email that she had no objection to modifying Mr. Williams' sentence as proposed above, which is dope. So he might be in Atlanta for a little bit. Moreover, on Thursday, December 5th, 2024, undersigned counsel, specifically Brian Steele, spoke with the Honorable Chief Probation Officer Kari Mock, who explained that she is required by Florida law to reveal Mr. Williams' residence on a public website unless the Honorable Court enters an order restricting the same. For safety privacy concerns, Mr. Williams respectfully requests that his Honorable Court to enter an order sealing his Florida address based on Mr. Williams' status as a known public figure. Makes sense. Chief Probation Officer Mock stated to undersigned counsel on Thursday, December 5th, that she has no objection to this request. All right, so let's go back and look at what were the special conditions of this. Here we go. Here's the special conditions. We'll read this real quick. After 48 hours, defendant shall stay away from the metro Atlanta area as defined by the U.S. Census Bureau for the first 10 years of his probation, subject to the following exceptions. Defendant is permitted to enter metro Atlanta area to attend the wedding, funeral, or graduation from high school, college, or graduate high school or medical emergency of immediate family members only. Immediate family members for the purpose of this plea is defined as biological parents, biological grandparents, biological parents, siblings, children, aunts and uncles, and first cousins. I love how they just threw that in there. Defendant may enter the metro Atlanta area up to 24 hours prior to any event listed above and must leave metro Atlanta area within 48 hours after such event. During each year of his probation, defendant shall enter the metro Atlanta area and shall make a live anti-gang and anti-gun violence presentation 4 times a year at a grade school, middle school, boys and girls club, or similar group. The presentation may include a benefit concert, which would be crazy, by the way. Yo, they get a free concert? That's insane. Shout out to them. These presentations may count towards his required community service hours. This man gets to do a concert for community service. This is crazy. During each year of probation, defendant shall perform 100 hours of community service. Defendant shall not knowingly have contact of any kind or character with any other member or associate of a criminal street gang who are not a member of the defendant's immediate family, including but not limited to each of the named individuals charged in the indictment number there, with the exception of defendant's biological brother, Quantavious Greer, and Sergio Kitchens, aka Gunna, for as long as the defendant and Mr. Kitchens are contractually obligated, except as necessary for lawful business of his music career. So I guess he just has to ask everybody, hey, you in a gang, by the way? We good, right? You're not in a gang by any chance, are you? In the event any provision of this special condition is determined to be void or unenforceable, such determination shall not affect the sentence or the remainder of the special conditions, which shall continue to be enforced to the fullest extent of the permitted law. What else did he have? Defendant shall in no way promote any criminal street gang. I don't know why he would. Defendant shall not utilize hand signs, terminology, or language promotes or represents a street gang. Not participate in criminal street gang activity. Obvious. Shall not engage or contact with victims listed in Fulton County indictment or any member of their family household except through legal counsel. All right. He can't have a possession of a firearm. Pretty standard. He shall violate no laws of any government, so don't break the law. He may transfer his probation out of state. Y'all heard he was in California and then he went to and then he's in Miami now, which I'm surprised Doug gave up his location after he told him he was on live. But anyway, he's going to submit random drug screens and abstain from the use of drugs unless they're prescribed. And he shall execute a Fourth Amendment waiver to permit the search of his person, residence, vehicles, electronic firearms, criminals, street gang paraphernalia, or illicit drugs. All right. So then let's go back to this. We also have over here, which is interesting. And I wanted to put this back up here because I agreed. Oh gosh, I don't know why this thing looks like that. But J App actually deleted this tweet. And let me hold on a second, y'all. Let me see if I can actually pull this up in a better way. Because it's looking a little crazy right now. Dang, I lost it. Dang, I lost this tweet. But I wanted to mention again that J App talked about what it took for Yak Gotti and for Shannon Stillwell to stick it out, to not fold, to, here we go. I guess it's just gonna look like that. And what did he say? He said only 2 defendants had the real brass balls to go the distance. Brave, Yak Gotti, and Doug Weinstein never gave up, never gave in. Now, a lot of people had issue with this, but if you look at what Young Thug said, or what Keith Adams said that Young Thug told him, was that what J App said is absolutely right. Maybe some more of them should have stuck it out. Were there benefits to Young Thug taking the plea deal? Just when it comes to this case overall, sure. But Young Thug even said himself, man, like, man, maybe I should have waited a little bit longer. So I think it's interesting that Jay took so much smoke for this. It's something that Young Thug agreed with. But let me see what y'all are saying here in these comments. Hold on a second. Shout out to Ashley Linnell says, ClassE, do you think he will be Future's guest at Rolling Loud Miami next week? Oh, that would be crazy. That would be crazy. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. Amy says, how ironic is it that Shell Kel got a bond yesterday, days after them boys have been found not guilty and set to go home? I don't care. I don't care. That's the setup. Yep. Oh, yo, was that snitch? Those rat emojis, who's that for? I pray that an attorney will try to help Monk Tunk. Me too. Yeah, me too, for sure. We had a couple other super chats come through that I wanted to read as well. And then I've got a couple more things that I'm going to cover for y'all. Let me see. All right, here we go. We've got here we go. My guy Demo Yo up in here with the 5 bomb. He says, "Oh, you need to be in ATL to retire." I think Miss Love and Hilton can get an early release. Oh man, they're done. On the other hand, Burrito already retired. My gosh. I wonder what they're going to do with her special title. It seems like they gave Investigator Viverito that title just for this YSL trial. I don't know. It could be just me. Monica with the 5 bomb says, ClassE Beats, is it known approximately when Shannon and Yak will actually be home? Doug Weinstein said it looks in an interview, it looks like they should be good by Christmas, but it all depends on how quickly things move. And y'all know Fulton County already has a backlog of cases, so we'll just have to wait and see, to be honest. Demo Yo with the 5 bomb says, Amy, stop saying thank you to me. I'm a part of this family. Thank you, Demo Yo. And shout out to Beautiful with their first super chat, dropping the 10 bomb. Said, flowers for all the defense attorneys. They did the damn thing. Yeah, they did. Excellent job. And honestly, let's be real. The state did a lot of work for them. You know? Brian Steele, I mean, they had some evidence that they were going to present, but Doug Weinstein and Max Sharp were like, nah, we're good. We don't need to present any evidence. The state took care of this for us. So we're going to keep it moving. Rack Racer Monty said, brave Yak Gotti. Man, he and Woody both were contributing factors to the indictments even drawn. Brave, I guess, is what they call it. Uh-oh. Rack Racer Monty got some smoke. She said, Thug is the brave one. Yeah, so much attention to the Fulton County Jail and so much injustice. King Slime. Donna Hallman says, ClassE, did you know this was Doug Weinstein's first criminal trial? Yeah, and he won. We mentioned it the other day. Doug is 1-0. I think he should retire. What do y'all think? No more criminal cases for Doug. Yeah, JB says Kayla Bumpus is now Max's co-counsel, and I think she's actually handling, if I remember right, Max said, I think he said in this interview with Megan that Kayla's going to be handling a lot moving forward. But yeah, Kayla's in there. She's getting
Shannon
getting stuff done. And speaking of Shannon, look what Shannon says here. He posted this a couple of days ago. He said, I really want the YSL jurors to know I truly appreciate the dedication to seeking justice and truth and not being manipulated into ruining my future. I pray day and night that you all paid close attention to the evidence that was provided by the state. You made the right decision. SB is free. Shout out to Shannon Jackson up in here. Y'all go follow him and show him some love. I'm looking forward to hearing some more music from Shannon. Also, I want to go over this too. Shout out to Joseph Papp. He actually posted the full disposition for Shannon Stillwell and Yak Gotti. We're going to go through both of these. And what did Joseph Papp say? He said, here's the final disposition for Shannon Stillwell that includes the not guilty verdict and the guilty verdict on count 64 and the sentence of 10 years. All right, here's everything here. I wish we had a better picture of it. Y'all can see not guilty, not guilty, not guilty on 2 of these murder counts. Yeesh. And then, of course, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, previously convicted of a felony involving the use of a possession of a firearm, directed verdict, and he was found guilty on that one, which we're going to review here in a second. All right, we've already gone through these 11 times, the general conditions of probation, which are scary to me. And we see here the defendant is sentenced to a total of 10 years, with the first 2 years to be served in confinement. Obviously, he got time served on that. Upon the service of 2 years, the remainder of his sentence is served in probation. So he's on 8 years of probation. And then you've got the special conditions here. Nothing too crazy. Back to Judge Whitaker with any violations. Any technical violations can be handled by the POM. All right. And then, of course, you got the first offender or conditional discharge, which, I mean, it doesn't really apply here. So shout out to Shannon, man. He got that SB deal. And actually, Roscoe, he got pretty much the same deal. He only has to do, well, I won't say only, he has to do 8 years of probation as well. We'll see what happens there. And then we go into Yak Gotti's, which is my favorite one in here. And look how clean. This is barely 1 page. Here's the final disposition for Diamante Kendrick that has a not guilty verdict and the directed verdict of acquittal. All right, so not guilty. Conspiracy to violate RICO. Murder charge, not guilty. Oh, man. Controlled substances, he got a direct verdict of that. It was acquitted. Controlled substances, again, acquitted. Possession of a firearm or a knife during the commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies, not guilty. Violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act, not guilty. Unlawful for person to employ, associate with criminal street gangs, to participate in criminal activity, not guilty. And then the rest of this is pretty straightforward. Possession of a machine gun, directed verdict of acquittal. Possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, previously convicted of a felony involving the use of possession of a firearm, directed verdict of acquittal, not guilty. Done. He's out of here. Woo! Congratulations to those boys, man. It got amazing outcomes. That's wild to see. Christopher Payne says states show up for the clown show. That it is. Fanny was YSL Mondo's lawyer before she was the DA. His case was the last one she took before going into office. I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole. But it's definitely something to look into. Vero says, where did Fanny take the watch? Which island did she bring it to? Oh, man. I don't think we're ever going to find out what happened to that watch. If I were to be real with y'all. So I want to read this one article and then, okay, that's just Dennis Byron's channel. Y'all go subscribe to Dennis, man. We got one more article I want to look at from our guy, Joseph Papp, over at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, kind of talking about what we just heard from Young Thug, where he's saying, man, maybe I should have held on a little bit. Maybe I should have waited. Well, we actually get to hear from another juror who basically says the same thing. He said, man, if Thug would have waited, we weren't really seeing that he was guilty of anything. So check this out. YSL juror, there wasn't a smoking gun in lengthy Atlanta gang trial. Here we go. If Young Thug hadn't pleaded guilty to gang, drug, and gun charges on Halloween night, the rap superstar might have walked free, 2 jurors said after the lengthy trial ended this week. The trial, the longest in Georgia history, concluded Tuesday as the 2 remaining defendants are acquitted of murder, gang, and racketeering charges. The jury found Deamonte Kendrick not guilty of all charges he faced, while Shannon Stillwell was convicted of 1 count of possession of a gun as a felon and sentenced to probation. He got those 8 years. The single guilty verdict was a blow to the Fulton County prosecutors who spent more than a year arguing. I can talk, I swear. Young Slime Life was a violent gang led by the Grammy-winning rapper. YSL, they contend, was responsible for a series of robberies, shootings, and the deaths of 3 rival gang members, allegedly. In the press conference announcing the indictment in May of 2022, Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis said she would seek the maximum penalties for all of the 28 defendants, alleging gang members are responsible for 75 to 80% of all violent crime in the Fulton County. But 2 jurors said Tuesday that the state failed to prove its case beyond a reasonable doubt, particularly when it came to the evidence against Young Thug. The Atlanta rapper, whose real name is Jeffrey Williams, was sentenced to 15 years probation and banished from his hometown for a decade after pleading guilty, which he's working on right now. He may actually get to come back to Atlanta. We'll see what Judge Whitaker decides on that. All right. From my perspective, I think he had a great shot at going home. Juror number 71 said, so we've got a new juror in here. Juror number 71 said in a phone interview, a lot of time we sat there waiting on that smoking gun. At that point, there wasn't a smoking gun.
So what we have ultimately is that there is no evidence, none.
Juror number 70 said he doesn't know if prosecutors had additional evidence to present against Williams, but at the time Young Thug pleaded guilty, there wasn't enough for a conviction. We all saw this. We all believed it. He said, citing concerns for his safety, the juror, whose name is Kevin, asked to not be fully identified. Other jurors declined to be interviewed after they were released from jury duty. Jury foreman Joshua Collins told Channel 2 Action News he didn't feel the state had presented enough evidence to convict the rapper either. From what I was looking at, I did not see anything concerning him throughout the entire course of the case. And we said this over and over. How many times in the past 3 months did they actually mention Young Thug's name? It was barely any. They're like, all these guys were doing these crimes, allegedly committing these crimes, and Young Thug was just there making music, giving them a place to stay, helping them record their music, and he's somehow the head of this criminal street gang. Man, some jurors have taken to social media after being dismissed from the trial, including 3 who say they want to collaborate online with the state star witness, Kenneth Copeland. Yeah, so if y'all haven't checked out the 3 jurors who started a YouTube channel, their YouTube channel is called Surviving YSL. They actually dropped their first official video yesterday. And one of the shorts they showed, they might possibly be doing a collaboration with Woody. So that'll be interesting. The trio launched TikTok and YouTube accounts after being dismissed from jury duty and spoke to Mel, a content creator who has been following the case over on I'm Not a Lawyer, but about their experience on the jury. Jurors didn't reveal their names, and only 2 of them appeared on camera while the third remained out of view. You can actually see the third juror on their YouTube channel in the video they just dropped. They couldn't be reached for a comment on Wednesday. During their live social media interview Tuesday night, juror number 225 told Mel that the state's evidence against the rapper didn't shine a negative light on him like the state intended to. I saw somebody who kind of pulled himself up, got himself out of the position he was in, and helped other people around. It actually shined a more positive light in my eyes than what the state was trying to present, she said. Jury selection started in January of 2023 and lasted 10 months. The trial itself took more than a year and was marred by repeated delays and the replacement of the recused judge midway through, the recused Judge Glanville. In the end, the jury was ready to go home. It was extremely long, Collins told Channel 2. That's juror 56. You pretty much put your whole life on the side. I mean, you definitely did. Prosecutors argued at trial that YSL members regularly rapped about crimes they had committed. Kevin said he wasn't swayed by the state's use of lyrics as evidence. He grew up in Chicago and said plenty of people rap about violence. If that's the case, come lock up my nephew and my cousins. Come lock up my whole neighborhood. That's what I'm saying. What about If Gang? What about YFN? Anyway, I guess we'll get to them later. Kevin also said he thought the state's evidence was lacking when it came to the shooting deaths of Donovan Thomas and Shamel Drinks, and we all saw that. For one thing, the juror said he felt the witness who placed Shannon Stillwell and Kendrick at the scene of Thomas's shooting was unreliable, especially after the witness, Kenneth Copeland, aka Woody, admitted he had lied to investigators to keep himself out of trouble. Everything to me was a torn up picture they were trying to tape back together, he said of the state's case. You tried to make it whole, but you were missing some pieces. The 26-year-old Thomas was gunned down outside Atlanta barbershop, and prosecutors argued the car was used in the drive-by had been rented by Young Thug. But Kevin said there simply wasn't enough evidence to convict the 2 defendants of murder. Woody placed them there, and then the state didn't back it up with phone records. He said they had everybody else's phone records except for Kendrick and Stillwell. I wonder if it's maybe because there was something there they didn't want us to see. Regarding the fatal shooting of Drinks at the red light in March 2022, Kevin said the grainy surveillance video presented by the prosecution wasn't enough to find Stillwell guilty of the murder either. We never saw the shots. We never saw the flashes, he said. Kevin described serving on jury as a nice change of pace from his regular job, where he clocks plenty of overtime hours each week. There were enough breaks in proceeding that he could schedule doctor's appointments, but he couldn't travel back and forth to Illinois to visit relatives. Jury service wasn't easy for others, Kevin acknowledged, saying some jurors essentially put their lives on hold to attend the trial each day. Yeah, maybe lost their job too. Prosecutors and defense attorneys met with the jury after the verdict was delivered Tuesday morning, but Chief Deputy District Attorney Adrian Love wasn't there. Oh man, she got her feelings hurt. Poor thing. The juror said he thought the lead prosecutor took things personally at times during the trial, especially during closing arguments. Kevin said he may keep in touch with some of the jurors, but acknowledged that they are from different walks of life. I can see a few of us getting together a year down the line, 6 months down the line in the summertime, Kevin said. All right, so shout out to Joseph Papp for that article. It'll be interesting to see what happens going forward because Young Thug, as we know, he's working on possibly getting some things turned around. We'll see what happens if Keith Adams and Brian Steele are still going to do some work when it comes to his plea deal. Keith Adams says it's going to be tough, but I don't think they're done fighting. Anyway, thank you all so much, man. Shout out to everybody who supported, everyone who's in here. We're going to be dropping some more videos this afternoon and going into the weekend. So make sure Y'all stay locked in for that. If you haven't yet, please like the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any time we go live or drop a new video. And I hope you have a great weekend. We're also going to be live tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Song of the Night live show. You're going to hear some great music from the independent artists right here in the community. And you get a chance to win $100 just for showing up to the show. So hopefully y'all will stop by. Have a great weekend. I appreciate everybody who's in here. And we'll be back Monday morning as well at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Y'all know what to do. Keep growing, keep pushing, keep it classy. We go. Peace.